Hey guys, welcome back to another session of Techify Zone. Here we are going to talk about tutorial number 13, which is Locator strategies in Selenium 4. So we have, if you are aware about Selenium, if you are aware about locators already, you must be aware about basic locators like XPath, ID, CSS Selector, link test, right? But I have something new for you in this tutorial. So stay tuned till the end because I'm going to talk about locator strategies specifically in Selenium 4, which got recently introduced. Okay. Now, before actually jumping directly to locators, let's deep dive into DOM, which is a document object model of every application. Whatever the web applications you are working with, it must have a DOM structure, which you can easily go and navigate via inspect element window. Okay, you just need to go to your application, you need to right click, and it will show inspect element option over there in the bottom. You need to click on it. It will load the complete DOM structure for you. DOM is nothing much but an HTML structured code, which will show you just like this, which I have shown you in this particular slide. Okay. So technically, we have an HTML form like HTML body, style, your header to your form. Over here, we have different kind of tags. So what we call them? We call them tag. Form is a tag, input is a tag, BR is a tag, label is a tag, over button is a tag, anchor sign is a tag, a paragraph P. This is known as paragraph. So it's also a tag. So every single thing which you see in this pink color is a tag. Okay, and everything which you see in the green color is a attribute, and everything which you see in the blue color is the value of the attribute. Okay, and most importantly, the things which you are seeing over here as a black color, like contact selenium, just like male, female, these are the actual text which is getting displayed on the screen on the application. So now we know what is tag, what is attribute, what is an attribute's value, what is the actual text which we are showing on the screen. Okay, so to interact with all of this, to interact with the actual application, we need to know about the locators. So locator help us to interact with the element, and then further those locators are provided under the find element or find elements method of Selenium, and then Selenium is able to interact with those elements on the application and do the steps like entering some value in the object. Like in a text box we are entering my name, in a radio button I am clicking it, a checkbox I am clicking it, button I am clicking it, from drop down I'm selecting any value from the drop down. So that's all operations can be possible only via interacting with the DOM. If you know the DOM structure, if you know the elements value or attributes, then you can interact with it. So DOM structure understanding of this HTML, basic HTML code is very, very important to go ahead with the locators. Moving forward, what are the different types of locators? So we have ID, name, class name, tag name, link list, link text, partial link text, CSS selectors, and XPath. These are old fashioned, same which we had in Selenium 3. But yes, will not we can't carry forward without them. So we need to know the basics of these. Then only we'll go to Selenium strategies like locator strategies of Selenium 4. Okay. So if you have already expertise all these, okay, if you think that you are already expertise on this, then you can directly go to the Selenium 4 locator strategies and you can learn about it. But if you still have a doubt that, yeah, you need to learn, then stay tuned. We'll be covering all these and then we'll be moving to locator strategies. Okay, so let's go ahead. So first I will be talking about class name. Class name is not much like if you see in this slide, right over here, I have a class called information, right? This is an attribute called class, this one, right? Class information. So what I know, my class name is information. So technically I'm using the same over here, like by dot class name information. So this is the basic kind of a syntax which I need to use, by dot class name information. Okay. So by using the method of by class, I'm passing the parameter called information so that my this particular line will be able to interact with that particular element which hold this class name as information. So this was very, very simple. Okay. Moving ahead, same with ID and name. Technically, it's same. The syntax is same. Wherever you find a static ID, okay, like this one, L name or F name, this is a static one. So better to go with this directly with the ID. Okay. So if I say my driver dot find element bracket by dot ID, and inside that if I entered F name under the inverted columns like F name, which means I'm going to interact with this input tag. Okay, this one. So technically I'm interacting with this and I'm able to feed any value over there. I'm using the send keys method. I can do that, right? Same goes with the name. Wherever you find a static name, which is not going to change, try to use the locator as name by dot name. These are the very simple locators, class name, ID, your name. These are very, very simple locators, but I will recommend, my personal recommendation is go ahead and use them only if you are sure that these are the static data, which means that this its value is not going to change. It's not going to change after even a refresh or cache clearing or I'm reloading the browser again. It will remain same. Then for sure go ahead and use it. It's the best way to use and interact with the element and the simplest way. Okay. Moving ahead. Link text. So link text is applicable, a kind of a locator which will applicable only with the anchor tag. Now what is an anchor tag? Coming back to this particular slide, this, see this one, okay? I will show you over here. See this one. So this is a anchor tag, okay? Let me see if I can have a laser pointer. Yeah. So this is the anchor tag, this one, right? So which means that it will be holding a value, a kind of a value, which is a link, not a simple input box, button, drop down, checkbox, radio button. It's not that. It's a link. So which means that Selenium official page, whatever it's populating on the web application, it's a link which we can click and it will navigate to this particular location, www.selenium.dev. Okay, so that's a anchor tag. And link text and partial link text will only work when you have a anchor tag and a text associated with it. So link text mean wherever I use like by.link text and I am entering a value of Selenium official page, so technically I'm interacting with this element. Okay, and same goes with the partial link text. The name says it that even if you are not sure about the complete name, but you know the partial name, the substring of it, you can pass down the substring and it will automatically find out that particular anchor tag and interact with it. Okay, let's move on back to partial link text. See, by dot partial link text official page. I'm not writing a Selenium official page, just like what we did in link text. I'm writing official page because I was only sure that this is the name, but I was not sure what is the preceding or a following of that particular string. So I wrote it. In this manner also you can interact with the anchor tag elements. So again, I'm repeating partial link text or a link text will interact with anchor tag elements. Okay, not with your input and buttons. Coming with the tag name. Tag name is basically very, very simple. So technically when it is implemented, see, there can be multiple anchor tags on the screen, right? So how will you sure like by using a tag name, you will be interacting with that specific element which you are looking into, right? So this particular, there is a very common question in automation area or automation industry, I will say. The very, very basic question is like, suppose you have a web application and there is a faulty link which you want to treat. And you need to figure out how many faulty links you have or flaky links you have on your application. So how will you do it? In that case, and this tag name plays its part. So technically, if I use driver.findElements by tag name A, which means I am getting a list of all the web elements which are with the anchor tag. Now I will be able to access all the anchor tags one by one using a for each loop. So that's how we use the tag name in those cases only. Now you're getting my point. If I need to figure out how many input fields I have on my screen, I can use by tag name find elements and can figure out the count. Getting it? Okay. Moving ahead with the CSS selector. CSS selector is also a very, very useful locator. And there is always a war between or kind of a debate between who actually is better, CSS selector or XPath. This happens, and I have questioned a lot of candidates about the in the interviews as well. And these are the areas where I play a lot with the candidates. Like I question them a lot. I question them and I gave them scenario based questions a lot, so that I need to know whether their fundamentals are cleared or not, whether they know the basics of CSS selector and the basics of XPath from the architectural standpoint or not. So you need to know this. So CSS selector is like a kind of a style HTML pages language, yeah, used to interact with all these. So where we have a different set of kind of, I will say, a different set of syntax. For ID, you need to use hash, and for class, you can use dot. Okay. So technically, if I need to interact with any of these, okay, any of these, let me check if I am able to write or something over here or not. Okay, highlighter pen. Okay, suppose I need to write anything over here. I need to interact with this particular class. So for class, I have a label called input. So I'll be typing input, okay, over here in that particular. Then I'll be using a dot, okay, and then I will be typing the class name, which is a information. I will typing as info as of now. Okay, info, which means I'm using a CSS selector like a tag name dot info because it was a class name. But what if I have to interact using an ID? Then the same goes with over here, but with the hash. Okay, I need to use a hash, then my f name, which is a this ID. Okay, f name. So technically, I can use this for interacting using a CSS selector with any of the values. Now coming back to that particular slide, you can see driver.find element by CSS selector and uh, using a hash f name, which means I'm interacting with a ID. Okay. So this is how we use the CSS selector, and most importantly, CSS selectors follows top to down approach. Okay, so from top to down, I means like if you have any element which is residing under div, and suppose there is an input box, okay, which is actually under a div, and that div is having two different childs, which is one is your label, one is your input. Then what you need to do is you can go to that div box and then navigate to its child. But if I say I am already on the child and I need to navigate to parent using a CSS selector, that's not possible. You can't do it. Directly, you can't do it. Okay. There are indirect ways, but directly you can't do it. So in that case, the most important topic is XPath. So XPath is a kind of a super locator in the Selenium, which helps us to drive from top to bottom and the bottom to top as well. So that's the power of XPath, using an XPath, which for where you can even have a power to go ahead from top to bottom and bottom to top. Okay. Now suppose, okay, let me give you a example. Okay. Let me load any screen over here. Okay. I have this particular screen loaded from Selenium. Okay. Now I will give you a live examples using this. Okay. Let me toggle it down. And suppose I want to interact with few of the elements using an XPath. Okay, so these are all the links. Okay, let me give you the live example. Okay, great. I have a unordered list and a list, a UL tag and LI tag. Inside that, I have a button tag. Okay, now what if my question is that I want to interact and I need a kind of a count how many links we have on this particular screen. Suppose I have a business scenario where I need to count how many links we have over here. Okay, then what I will do is I will firstly, I hope my screen is visible to all of you properly. Okay. Now what I need to do is I need to take this UL. Okay. First, I'm using CSS selector. Okay. To showcase you the benefit of CSS selector as a UL tag dot this, and this was like, okay. See, or else I can go ahead with the ID, which seems to be a unique one, tabs -3, and I need to for ID need to use hash. Okay, so UL hash tabs 3 and then LI. So technically my count is saying 6. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 different lists in it. So this is how I interact and get a count of all my list elements. And further, if I need to interact with them, either I can go ahead with the indexing or else like this. Let me try. Okay, indexing is not working with this one. Never mind. Okay. I can even go with the attribute XPath. Okay, which can be a kind of a class. And further, I can say like if I have any specific, okay, over here I have an ID. Okay. So, or else I can interact with this button hash ID, which means I am interacting with only one element, which is this Java. Okay, specific to Java. Okay, and most importantly, guys, if you are using a CSS selector, make sure there is no space in it. If there is any space, even in the attribute somehow you find out space, just like this class nav space nav hyphen tabs. Replace the space with the dot. Automatically it will work. Okay. But what if I have a question that I need to use the same kind of strategy using an XPath? Then how will it do it? Okay. What I need to do is double slash. Now my point is, what is a double slash and what is a single slash? Okay. Let's learn it. Create a new. So XPath we are talking about, right? So let me a little bit zoom it so that you guys understand. I hope now it's visible. There are two types of XPath in Selenium. One is your relative and another one is your absolute. Okay, so two types of XPath mean absolute means which actually begins with a single slash, like HTML, body, then your suppose we have a div tag, then you have a again a div, then you have an input, and then you are actually interacting with the whole element. So that's the absolute XPath, which you can also get using this. Like suppose I want to interact, I'm interacting with this element, okay, and I want to copy this XPath, which will copy the relative one. But if I need an outer XPath, full XPath, which will give me like this HTML body header nav div. So this is not a right approach to go ahead with. Why? Suppose you are working on any agile project and there are multiple changes coming up every sprint or even every release basis you are working on. So it can happen that there are multiple elements which got introduced in between. So in that way, your parent text path, your complete absolute text path will not work because every time you have to modify it, keep on modifying it every time. So which will be a pain for you. Okay. So better to go ahead and use a relative one. How relative works? It works with double slash. So double slash means it has a power to navigate to any of the tag in the HTML document directly using the attributes. So if I need to, suppose I need to go over here into the Java, this particular about link. Okay. We have a about link over here, which has an anchor tag and over here. Okay. So now what exactly I need to do is I need to this XPath, or I will say if we have any specific ID, I don't see any reference because we have multiple. Let me go with about. Okay. Then what I need to do is I need to do a, then text, and then about hyphen. Okay. So this is a relative XPath, which allows me to directly navigate to that element and interact with it. Let's see if it works or not. See, it's working. I'm directly interacting with that about. Now, I don't have to worry about coming from top to the bottom. So that's the power of XPath writing, right? So now this was the one of the example. Now what if I need to interact with the suppose I am over here Let me take another example. The previous one only, Java and Python, right? So suppose I get a question from an interviewer that you are already on the Java. Okay, you have the XPath of Java, which is this one. ID this. Okay, you have the XPath like this. Suppose I have double slash button at the rate ID. Okay, I have one of one. Now my interviewer asks me that you have the XPath of this, but you need to navigate to C sharp and you need to click on it. How will you do it? It's very simple. There are multiple ways to do it. Okay. Either I can use directly a parent and then a sibling. Okay. Or else I can go ahead with the ancestor of UL and then the child node using dot child. Okay. There are multiple ways. So let me focus on first related to your parent node. What a parent li. Okay. So technically right now I am at this position, li position. Okay. Now I have a power to use the following sibling if I need to interact with the third in the list, right? So what I can do is following sibling li. Okay. So technically I went to the second one, or else directly I can go to the third one by using the indexing. I'm just converting my whole index and 2. Now I am directly on the C sharp and using this, if I go ahead with the button, see, I'm already on the C sharp and I can click it easily. So this was the one of my XPath, which allows me to directly interact with the my third element using following sibling concept. But there can be other way too. Okay, let me post another way. I don't want to go ahead with that much complex. Okay, so there can be other way like button. Now I'm again at this position, Java. Now what if I use ancestors, ancestor UL. Now I go to directly, I didn't go to it's my parent, I directly went to my grandparent, kind of. Okay, now I'm already on my grandparent. Now what I can do is I can directly go to li. Now I have different LIs where I have a kind of an ID. Okay, or else there is another way. Sorry, I have button, right? I can directly go with the chaining concept. See, I am already on that. Now see, if I print over here, see this. I have two ways. I defined two different ways. Uh, see, so technically in this, I used one attribute, second attribute, and third attribute. In this, I used 1, 2, 3, 4, and with indexing most importantly, which we should not use actually. So technically, this is the right approach, which I followed in this requirement. Okay, there can be other two. Right now, what I did is I did using this parent, I did reverse chaining, which means I am moved from bottom to top and then from top to bottom again. Over here, again, I did the same thing, bottom to top to bottom directly. And why I use double slash? Because I want to navigate to my grandchild. That's why I use double slash. If I have used it single slash, it wouldn't work because with single slash, I mean I'm interacting directly with my child node. But with double slash, it means irrespective of child or grandchild, I'm directly interacting with that element, which is in my hierarchy with these attributes. Okay, now you get the XPath and the power of the XPath. Okay, there are other ways also. Here I used following sibling. There are preceding siblings. In the same way, instead of following, you can use preceding. Okay, which means that if you are already on, suppose you are already here in this, but you want to navigate here. So now you want to go to your brother, which is elder than you, right? A kind of a preceding sibling. Then you can use a preceding sibling. If you want to navigate to your younger brother sister, then you can go ahead with the following sibling. So these are the concepts which you need to know in XPath, and there are multiple functions in the XPath which you can work with. Okay, so now that was all about the XPath. I hope it's pretty clear. Okay, now we have some new which you might have not worked with or which you might have not even heard of. Okay, so these are like by chained method and by all method, and most importantly, mostly I have not seen anyone using it, uh, like until or unless they are aware about it. Okay, so by chain mean that I can club multiple kind of, instead of writing a complete XPath, I can write multiple individual using ID and this uh, ID or name or this, and I can club them using comma. And this will create an XPath on its own. Selenium will understand this particular concept and it will create an XPath on its own in the backend and will interact with your element. So technically, if I have a higher, so again go to this particular page. Okay. Now what I am saying, suppose I have a this one. Okay. I know about this tab 3 right here. And what I will do is I will ul at the rate id is equal to tab 3, which means I am over here. And then what I need to do is I need to interact with the C sharp. Suppose I need to interact with C sharp. Okay. What I need to do is, if this is the concept, what I need to do is I will do button at the rate id like this. And if I place this whole under my this particular by chained method, technically it will like by dot id or by dot name, if I place it technically like directly using this id and using this id, I can interact with my element. So technically I have this id tab 3 and this id for this. So I am going to interact with my C sharp element directly. By all. So by all means that you want a set of different elements under a list. It's same as kind of find elements with this a single element which is having a single XPath. Suppose there is a single XPath which is having multiple references, right? Suppose I'm with a single XPath, I'm getting 6 different elements on the screen. Okay, so I can use find elements for that. But there is an alternative way. What if you have different XPaths? You don't have single XPath, you have different XPath, but you want to club them under a single bucket. Okay, so technically new by all give you that particular privilege on it, like you can have the password locator, you can have your username locator, you can have your login button locator, you can have your clear button or reset button locator under it, everything under it, and then it will be stored as a driver.find elements, same as a list, and you can interact with all those elements one by one as per your given approach. So where we actually use this, there is a business scenario. Suppose you have a login form, okay, and inside that particular login form, you want to test an application with a different set of data. There is suppose 100 users data for which you are creating an automation script, that whether each and every particular user is able to log in with its credits or not. For every successful login, you are updating that Excel sheet, and for every unsuccessful login also, you are updating the as per the failure. Okay, now every time, what if I have to interact with username, password, every time same script is working, same, right? But what if I have 3 lines of code, by example, by all, and I have placed all my login screen elements under that particular by all, and then created a list element. Now inside the for loop, what I need to pass is I just need to pass this list element, right? And then I need to perform the operation. So technically, my list one, which is my index zero, kind of, which is holding the parameter as suppose username. Okay. And then I pass send keys, and then only that particular code I have to write. I don't have to write n number, or I don't have to declare n number of web elements by typing, by writing the code. I'm saving the number of lines of code over here. Okay, this is smart coding, which actually I usually ask my most of the like candidates who are applying for the interview, how actually they are doing the smart coding. This is what we need today. We don't need that 5 years back approach in industry. We need some smart thinkers, smart coders. Okay, so think about it. Now, finally, the time has arrived that where we are going to discuss about the locator strategies and the few new locators which were introduced in Selenium 4. So, okay, so these are not that much simple by using by dot that. I'm not going to use that. Okay, I'm going to use something relative locator class where we are going to further call their methods. Okay, so we have five different over here, like above, below, left of, right of, near. So by the name, it says that I am actually playing with the pixel or its location or the position of the element. So now you have two different approaches. You are interacting with the element. Sidewise, you are also doing the visual testing. Think about it. Think from the both perspective. You are doing the pixel wise location based testing as well of the elements. You are also doing the interaction with the element and doing the functional testing. So it's kind of a you say that I'm doing two different works, two different testings with just a single line of command. Isn't that good? Isn't that the whosoever thought it was really good, right? So let's talk about over here. Just look over here and just have this picture in your mind. There, I have an email address, I have a password, I have a cancel and a submit. That's it. It's a very simple example which I'm going to showcase. See, if above, for above, what it will do is I have a email locator. So where my email is above of password. Okay. So what I am doing is relative locator dot with by dot tag name. Okay. I'm not using right now directly with the kind of find elements. Find elements come in picture just after this line. But what I'm doing is relative locators with by dot tag name input dot above of ID password. So suppose where exactly I'm going to use it. Suppose I have a password field which is having a static ID or name, but whereas the email address is not static, which is having a different kind of ID, different kind of a name or a class name, which is actually changing. Instead of writing the XPath, I need to see whether my email ID is above password, and more importantly, I want to write something in my email ID. So for both the requirements, I'm covering everything into a single command. Relative locator dot with by dot tag name input, which means this can be any input, right? Any input on the screen. But when I say dot above by dot ID password, which means it will figure out the exact parent or assembling input, which is directly above the password field, which means I'm interacting with this email address. See the power? Same goes with below. Like if I need to interact with password, password is below the email. Now I'm using instead of password, this locator, I'm using the email locator over here and I'm interacting with the input tag. Again, I'm going to interact, I'm going to test. So both work under the simple single command. Same goes with left off, right off, which means that I'm also testing the left side and the right side. Where I was just testing above and below, now I'm testing right, left and right. So in the case of these two buttons, I need to there is a requirement that I need to check whether my submit button is on the right of cancel button and my cancel button is on the left of submit button. That we can also check that. See, this is a kind of really innovative thing which we have done while interacting. I'm checking the location. So that's the power of locator strategies in Selenium 4. I must recommend that go ahead and use it. And also, whosoever is lucky enough to have me as their interviewer, I'm going to ask questions on this. So be prepared. Thank you. Thank you so much for this tutorial. I must say, please, I'm doing a lot of hard work and I need your support. And for your support, you must like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks a lot. In the next tutorials, we'll be coming up with the Selenium WebDriver commands. And I'm going to automate few of the websites in front of you and we're going to learn a lot from it. So thanks a lot. Keep coding. Thank you.